I follow a lot of house accounts on Instagram, ranging from like interior design type accounts to like Zillow Gone Wild types. And one of my favorites is called Historical Homes. And as you might expect, they post like listing photos of old houses that are for sale. And the other day, they posted this house. And I thought this was just beautiful and it was perfect to try and build in The Sims. So that's what I'm gonna try and do today. So it's not like a replication of the real house, but it is inspired by. Does that make sense? Also, quick thank you to our friends over at Word Farm Adventure for sponsoring this video. I think they're gonna like this one because I ended up making the house kind of farmhousey. The real life house is absolutely not a farmhouse, but in The Sims, definitely farmhouse vibes. This house is actually kind of sneakily big. I feel like it doesn't look that impressive from the outside, but upstairs I managed to fit quite a few bedrooms, and I based the entire like color scheme of the interior of the house off of the kitchen cabinets that I picked, and I picked these like bright red kitchen cabinets from the Country Kitchen kit that I have never used. I tend to avoid the red swatches a lot because I'm kind of worried they're a bit too much, but in this house I embraced it. I went all out. We've got like the red cabinets. I put red chairs in that room. Like, I honestly think it turned out kind of cute. It's a little bit different than normal, but I think that it works, especially for this style of house. Again, in real life, this house is very different. Like, they have a beautiful all white, like kind of updated kitchen, as you might expect in a $1.1 million house. They don't have a little tiny red kitchen like the Sims version does, but I kind of like the Sims version better. It's got a little bit of character. You'll notice the front and the back of the house are kind of symmetrical, and you might have also seen me trying to fit in that sunroom vibe. I really did try and make the sunroom work. It just doesn't work right in The Sims. Like, sunrooms, they don't do the right thing in The Sims 4, because in real life, they're so beautiful, they're so cozy, but in The Sims, it just kind of messes up the lighting in your house. Because The Sims bases lighting off of the rooms, and like, it just kind of ruins it when you try and add a sunroom into the game, and so I didn't think I could make it work properly. I'm really sad that I couldn't, because I loved the concept. It wasn't gonna work. So you'll see right now, I'm kind of drawing out like a really big fenced in area. This lot is a 30 by 30 lot. It's the one across from Brent and Brant in Brindleton Bay, if you know what I'm talking about. So the lot is quite big, so there's a lot of space in the yard for activities. In this case, farming. I put like a lot of farm ground outside in the backyard. And even with all of the crops, there's actually a ton of space left over. It's because the house isn't very big. But speaking of farming, I think now is a good time to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor. Real quick, I want to tell you all a little bit about today's sponsor, Word Farm Adventure, which is one of my favorite apps. I'm not even kidding. You might actually remember me telling you about this game in the past because they sponsored us a couple times now, but I've been playing it for like a year and it's so fun. I love a good word game. We all know this. Basically, it's a crossword game, so you solve these little puzzles, but the idea and like story behind the game is that as you level up, you're trying to restore this villa back to its former glory. So there's a lot of like destroyed, empty, like unrenovated rooms, and then as you level up, you can decorate them and update them. It's like my two favorite things all at once, decorating and word games. I sound like such a nerd with this, but it's true. I've got like my whole family in on this now too, like my mom and Dan play. I really should show my grandma because I think she would be obsessed. The game is free. It's available now on iOS and Android, and you can download it using the link in my description box. And also, if you download it right now, you get a welcome bonus. So like, what's stopping you? I'm serious though, I really do think you'll like this. It's really cute. It's a fun game. I had to take Dan yesterday to get the COVID booster shot, and so I was like sitting there in my car waiting for him, playing my little word games on my phone. It was fun. Anyway, like I said, check out the link down below to download it, and let's get back into the video. All right, we're back to the build. And by the way, I do swear I didn't build this just because of the game. I actually built this like weeks ago, and I've been sitting on it because I have so many builds to post on YouTube. I build so much more than I can post. I literally build houses like twice a week or more on stream, and then I have this giant stockpile of this great speed build footage that I'm not sure what to do with. So this is one of those stockpiled builds. And honestly, it kind of works. It's kind of appropriate. Now you'll see at this point, I've actually done the whole floor plan. I cut out my attempts at the floor plan from the final speed build because it took me so long to figure out what I wanted to do. The upstairs is quite small, but I wanted to split it into enough bedrooms to be reasonable. So this house actually ends up being a 4-bedroom house. There's one bedroom, like the parents' bedroom upstairs, and also 2 kids' rooms upstairs, and then a 3rd kids' room or like maybe a grandma's suite or something downstairs as well. So there's a little bedroom off the kitchen. There's also an office. We have a dining room. We have a huge living room. It's all like very small, separate rooms in this house. That's very much the vibe that I was going for. Again, we are trying to build a historical home, and it's not one that's been like renovated. It hasn't been like gut and then split open into one big open floor plan. I was definitely going for an older house. I think that's very much my style just in general though. I like how these older homes look, and I like all the little tiny rooms. This is very much more my vibes, at least in The Sims. I'm not sure about real real life, I do like some separation, but I don't need to have the whole place full of tiny hallways. But in The Sims, I like it better. I think it's just more fun. There was one small problem we encountered with the kitchen, and it's that the red swatch of those counters actually has pink curtains on it. I don't know why. I don't know why the red comes with pink curtains, but it was absolutely infuriating because I wanted to use the red so bad, but like the pink was not the vibes. I do like the red and pink. It's kind of fun. It's like a nice Valentine's Day cutesy thing, but I was not going for Valentine's Day in this house. So I really struggled to put like the kitchen where I wanted it to be in this one. It was very frustrating because I was like, do I deal with the pink or do I put the sink in the wrong place? Like I had to keep going back and forth, and I really was getting so frustrated. But I think in the end, it does end up working out properly. It just took me a while to get there. This is one of those trust the process kind of builds. I feel like I say that every single time. I know I do, but seriously, trust the process. I swear it does get there eventually, okay? It took me a while, but I did make it work. Oh no. I just realized my Pietro has fallen. I have this Pietro plushie. Now that I think about it, I noticed that you probably can't tell what he is most of the time when he's just behind me in my videos, but someone sent me like a custom crocheted Pietro. He's like this big to my P.O. box. Pietro is a villager in Animal Crossing that is both my best friend and my greatest enemy. I literally spent 8 months hunting for him. I had no business doing that, but I spent like 8 months on stream looking for him because I refused to use amiibos or like accept him as a gift from anyone, so I looked for him forever, and it became kind of a meme on my channel, and now I both hate him for doing that to me, but also love him because of how much joy this scary clown sheep brings me. That's what that is. If you ever wondered what is that weird thing sitting behind her, it's Pietro. And sometimes my cat knocks him over. So if he ever looks dead back there, blame the cat. She's just getting revenge, it's fine. Anyway, I'm working on decorating the kitchen. I had a lot of fun doing the clutter in this kitchen because there's a lot of cute items we have, like all of this cute stuff from Cottage Living and the Country Kitchen kit, even like the new base game aprons we got back in December. There's lots of fun items that we have. I will say this house uses a significant number of packs. Like, it's kind of bad. There's a lot of kits that I use. You can see in this kitchen alone, I have the Country Kitchen kit and the plant kit being used. So seriously, I'm sorry about that. Next week, I'm posting a base game speed build though, so hopefully I can make it up to you. I really do try to limit packs a lot. Like, I make a serious effort to use limited packs in most of my builds, but sometimes you just go wild when you're building some random farmhouse with a red kitchen. Sometimes you're just feeling like messing around. So I did just that in this house. I'm sure you can tell. Something I've been thinking a lot about recently in real life is lights, like pendant lights, chandeliers, flush mounts. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about lights recently because I have to buy a bunch of lights for my new house. I just bought a house recently and we've been renovating a little bit, and so I'm trying to pick out like new lights to go above the new kitchen island, and I'm gonna replace the dining room light, and a lot of the bedrooms didn't previously have ceiling lights. They used to have just lamps and stuff, so we're putting in ceiling lights. So basically I have to buy a lot of lights. I have never thought this much about lights ever in my entire life, but because I've been thinking about lights so much, it's making me think a lot about lights in The Sims as well. And you know what? We are seriously lacking when it comes to like interesting pendant lights and chandeliers and stuff. I would really like to have some more interesting statement lights. Not like statement lights, but like some interesting, subtle, more modern, more maybe contemporary is the better word, like nice chandeliers. I would love to see some more interesting lighting in The Sims 4. Like things that are good for above the dining table and above kitchen islands. Like I just want to have more variety in like the size and shape of our pendant lights in this game. I realize that's kind of an odd request, like of all the things to be begging for, lights, really. But lighting's a big deal. Like in rooms like that, the statement light that you have kind of makes a big difference. So I would like to see more from the Sims team when it comes to lighting. I know it's odd, but for example, the new light that came with Cottage Living, that really beautiful like 3-prong chandelier or whatever with the shades, it's cute. I like it. I like it a lot. I used it in most of the rooms in this house. I guess not in the bedrooms, but like in the kitchen and, you know, in the living room and stuff. So I'd like to see more stuff like that. Most of these rooms are, by the way, really small. I think you could probably tell already. There's, like I said, there's 3 kids' rooms and 1 parent's room, and all of the rooms are really tiny. One is only 3x3 tiles. That's the size of a lot of bathrooms that I build in The Sims, but I was kind of going for that look on purpose. Like I wanted to have these really small bedrooms. Part of me kind of likes playing in houses like this. Like I sort of like how cozy it is. And also, the smaller the house, the less likely your sim is going to get lost, because you know how Sims are like so slow and so not smart. Like they just kind of wander and stuff. It's very annoying. So when there's less space for them to wander and less for them to get distracted by, it makes for more effective gameplay. Anyway, of the 2 rooms upstairs, one is like a sort of pink child's room I was picturing, and also there's a little like green and blue toddler bedroom upstairs, and a little greenish kid's bedroom downstairs, and the parents' room upstairs. So there are a lot of rooms in this house. You could easily sleep like 5 Sims. I'm not sure you could fit more than that. I guess you could probably swap out one of these beds to be a bunk bed, but even then the rooms are very small. So like 2 bunk beds, 2 beds in just one 3x3 tile room might be cutting it a little bit close, but it's possible if you need it. Now that I'm thinking about it and like looking back on this build and considering what I could have redone, it's possible that maybe it would have been smarter to put this toddler bedroom downstairs. Now in real life, is it that smart to leave the toddler in the kitchen basically, because the rooms right off the kitchen, by themselves? Probably not. But in The Sims, the toddlers can way more easily walk up and down like just the kitchen than like going up and down the stairs. Like toddlers that young can't even use the stairs at first because they don't know how to walk up them. So I've kind of essentially trapped the toddler upstairs by accident, which is a good or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. You know, depending on how you play this game, that might be a positive. For example, when I'm playing the 100 Baby Challenge, I often create like a basement or an attic that nobody can access, and I just like teleport the toddlers in there and then bring them food myself by like dragging it in. I don't even bathe them. I just leave them up there because that way they can't bother me. They make messes places and they like cry so much, and if they're trapped, you've got an excuse to cheat their hygiene need instead of bathing them. I will say the 100 Baby Challenge has turned me into a bit of a not nice Sims player. But listen, there's only so much of that you can handle, okay? Imagine having that many toddlers. Something has to be done to make it easier. Is this brand safe? Should I be discussing this in this sponsored video? It's just The Sims, it's fine, it's fine. All right, we're on the outside of the build now though. I'm starting out by decorating the little like front garden. The front garden is all fenced in. That is one thing that I loved about the house that I saw on Historical Homes. They had a beautiful little fence and gate. I didn't put a gate to the front of the house because we don't have a 2 tile wide gate that fits this fence and like matches it properly. So I didn't use one, I just had it be open. So maybe that kind of defeats the purpose of the fence, but it's The Sims, so you don't need it anyway, it's fine. No one's gonna break in, your dog's not gonna get loose. They would if they wanted to no matter what. The vampire's just gonna walk straight through it or like poof as a bat right past it, so it makes no difference. I've always loved the idea of like a little fence in the front yard with a little tiny gate. It's just kind of cute. I kind of vibe with it, I don't know. But you can see I'm also working on the little garden space in the back, so I managed to fit like 2 big patches of garden planters. They're actually the cottage living like dirt pile planters. I managed to fit 2 big sections of them, and I did this cute like alternating of like horizontal and vertical pieces. I think it ended up looking really nice. And then obviously you could plant anything there. You could plant like the giant crops, or you could plant just like, you know, flowers or something. But if you were trying to play with cottage living, this might be a good spot to do it. I didn't put down like any chickens or anything, but if you wanted to, there's a lot of space on the lot for you to use them. You could probably even fit like a cow or a llama, because that front yard, that front side yard has so much open space. You could probably fit one in somewhere. Watching this build back, it's making me want to play with cottage living again. I love that pack. It's so fun. I love any good farming game though. Like, you give me farming in The Sims, I'll take it. In Stardew Valley, I'll take it. Honestly, in Word Farm Adventure, I'll take it. My favorite part of Minecraft is farming. Why? That is not at all the point of that game. I love any good like farm simulator. You give me farming and I'm there. Even like Animal Crossing has farming now. That was a recent update. I'm obsessed. I made like a giant farm on my island. And for what? I mean, you make good money doing it, but like you don't really need to do that in Animal Crossing. There's no need to have that big of a farm. And here we are. And look, I know a lot of you are the same way because I hear you tell me in my Twitch chat. I know that we're all the same. I know we are all obsessed. So it's not just me. Don't make fun of me. Anyway, the build is coming really close to being over. You'll see I'm just adding in a few finishing touches like a swing set and some bees. I did put bees, but not any chickens. I don't usually put bees in my builds anymore. Those are from seasons, so they've been around for kind of a while, but I sort of forget they exist. I put the bees here on this one. And also those bees will help improve the quality of your plants. So it might even be like a nice positive to have them there. So all in all, it's a nice, functional, little tiny farmhouse, and I hope that you enjoyed it. But now that the build is kind of coming to a close, I want to pop into the game and show you like a tour real time of the real house finished. So I built this house in Brindleton Bay. I put it up here on this 30 by 30 lot. Let me bulldoze this one so I can place my own. I always wonder about their terrain paint. Like, look at how weird this looks. Anyway, sorry. Sorry. It's just called Farmhouse on the gallery. I did build this in January 31st. I forgot it was that long ago. So you have to like maybe scroll back a tiny bit. The house does cost 91,000 simoleons. And like I said, I did use a little bit more packs than normal. I do always normally try to limit packs, but this one I kind of went wild. Sorry about that. I never know what the right thing to do is because no matter what I do, people are upset with me. Like on stream when I do like base game builds or just base gaming cats and dogs, my chat's like, why do you never use such and such pack? And then I use all the packs and then I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. This one I used too many, I will say that. But this is the outside of the house. I love how the front yard looks, especially this little tiny bench and like the little planter boxes. Also, I love this mat on top of the brick. I think it's pretty nice. But in the front yard, there's like a little tiny path that takes you into the backyard. I love the landscaping here. And I also put this little pond. This you could easily delete and replace with like chickens or something if you wanted to, but I put a little pond there to fill in the empty space. This is that backyard I was talking about. We have these really nice planters for you to fill in with pumpkins or whatever. The bees, the swing set, there's a table, there's a grill, there's even like a woodworking table. So there's lots of functional gameplay items out here. And then on the inside of the house, you first walk into like a little tiny brick entryway. I love the little shoes by the door. I sized one of them down with like kids' shoes. And then we have this super cute like fireplace area. It does have a really tiny TV. It's like kind of an older style house in here. I'm really happy with the color scheme though. I think that like this curtain really ties everything together. Just off the living room is this little bathroom. There are 2 bathrooms in this house. There's one downstairs and one upstairs, but this is like the main bathroom shared by everyone else in the house, and the one upstairs is an ensuite for the master bedroom. And then you walk into this little tiny hallway. It takes you here into the little office space. There is a big computer and it's a nice computer. I was trying to make up for the fact that I didn't put a nice TV, so hopefully your Sims can get their fun up with this. We have this huge dining room with some more red accents this time in here. This is that kitchen and like breakfast nook sort of area. I tried to use some interesting wallpapers in here as well, like the brick combined with the shiplap. I'm really happy with how the cabinets turned out. I think this is like a nice layout for this kitchen considering like the lack of space. And I love this like sunroom sort of vibe with the table and the little sunflowers. I don't know, I think it's my favorite part. Same thing, there's like a little brick exit to the backyard with some umbrellas, watering can. This is that kid's bedroom downstairs. This could easily become like, I don't know, grandma's room or whatever. In hindsight, I might prefer to swap the office and the bedroom. Like maybe it makes a little bit more sense to have the bedroom not off the kitchen, but I was happy with it then. So I like it. This little hallway takes you upstairs. There's a very, very, very small hallway upstairs, but there is like a whole second office space with another computer. Again, trying to compensate for the lack of TV in this house. This diagonal door takes you into the parents' bedroom. It's kind of a weird color scheme, but I used like this red and blue bed. I think this bed looks nice with that like fox rug because it ties in like the little bits of red. The parents also have their own fireplace and their own little yellow bathroom. I like this room a lot with the little yellow counter and stuff. I thought it was kind of cute. I tried to do like 2 completely different bathrooms in this house because I often have them like identical, so I was trying to branch out a little bit. And there are 2 small kids rooms, one pink one and one little toddler room that's a bit more green. And that's the whole house. Again, it's not huge, but I'm really, really happy with this one. I think the floor plan makes so much sense, and I think it's really realistic as well. I'm really, really happy with it. This house is on the gallery if you want to download it. And also check out that link down below if you want to download and play Word Farm Adventure. It's free, it's so much fun, and I think you're gonna love it. And with that being said, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I won't lie, I think that this house is one of my favorite ones that I've built in a while. I built this one on stream, and if you like this kind of thing and you want to watch us build these houses live, my Twitch channel is also linked down below. It's just lilsimsie. And I play The Sims all the time over there, I'm just saying.